This is all transparent watercolor, done on illustration board. And I coated the surface with matte medium, which is an acrylic medium, because I wanted to seal it. So I was afraid maybe something might go wrong with that kind of a surface. So I masked out with liquid Frisket everything that you see that's white, and I did a little spattering, poured the warm colors everywhere, did a little more spattering when it dried, and then poured a little darker. Finally, at the very end, I wet this streak down here and really poured dark. A hot press plate finish will not hold the pigment. So you really, really, really have to go dark.
Did you pour that face?
Yeah,
That was poured.
yeah. See where
Wow.
all those whites are left in there, Frank?
Yeah.
You start out there, masking those out, and then this is the color of the first pour. You know this is exactly the same color as this.
Sure.
And then you'd mask out anything you needed to here, go a little darker. These blue highlights that you see here, bluish gray highlights, were painted.
Okay.
But you see this? See the glasses? They're masked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
Have you always done your technique like this, or did you do?
no. This is
Okay.
something everybody always wants to know. How did you come to this
Right.
technique? Well, I started out as oil painter, printmaker, and all that good stuff like everybody else. Moved to watercolor because I fell in love with it. And I noticed that I was not really using the medium to what I thought was its best advantage, which is flowing. You know, I needed it to flow. So I started out just doing still life setups and wetting the shadows underneath the flowers or fruits and letting the pigment flow. And then I said, okay, transparent watercolor, that means you're going to have to save that white paper. So I little by little looked around for some way to mask and save my whites. And I know there are a lot of people who pour, a lot of people who use mask, but I think everybody comes to it in their own way. A lot of people mask but don't pour all three colors, or they'll just go ahead and paint. I don't like using mask in little tiny bitty pieces. I like using mask where you mask out whole great big pieces. I like shapes, big shapes, not little bitty shapes. Little bitty shapes, I don't like at all. That's what I tell them all week. No little bitty shapes. I want to see them big shapes. Okay. I would love to do one more pour for you before you break. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
Between pouring liquid fluid acrylics and watercolor. One primary difference. You know what it is?
Water resoluble.
Yeah.
This is not water resoluble. Once it's dry, that's it. So you can't soften edges.
But that's a plus when you put
Yes.
Misket on, because it
Yes.
does not destroy
It won't lift.
Yeah.
It won't lift,
Right.
exactly right. But, you know, one of the beauties of transparent watercolor is how it blends and mixes, like ultramarine blue and burnt sienna.
Right.
You know that's going to settle out into wonderful, terrific things. And if you do all your liquid acrylics, they don't do that. They dull out. Primary difference, watercolors dry lighter, acrylics dry darker. Can be a real fooler for transparent watercolors, a real fooler, indeed. Okay.
Is there a big difference in liquid acrylics, like there is between professional watercolors and student watercolors?
I have never seen a student grade acrylic, to be perfectly honest with you. All of them seem to be about the same quality.
Okay.
Yeah. The only ones I ever used, to tell you the truth, are golden.
Is that with an O or U?
Golden, like golden Colorado.
O.
Yeah, or golden mines, or whatever you want to say. Yeah. Okay. Transparency and opacity, transparent. The light goes through the pigment to the paper, bounces back to your eye. In this painting, there is a combination of transparent and opaque pigment that has been used. I have recently started doing this, and I'm going to continue to do it because I enjoy doing it. I like the combination, the mixed media. The way I do my opaque pigments is with gesso. It is a polyvinyl. It is white, black, and also available in colors. Let me see if I can show you what it looks like. This is a big bottle of gesso. Gesso is an old term. They used to prime canvas for many years with gesso, but that's not the same as this gesso. This is a new kind of gesso. It's an acrylic gesso, okay? All right.
And you can get that in color?
Yeah, I have black.
Well, black's not a color. What about a,
Black is a color.
It
This
is?
is a color, this is a color. It's black. You can get it in gold, you can get it in blue.
really?
Daniel Smith makes it in color.
So when you take that gesso now, you put watercolor to it to change the color?
No, because you'd have to put a whole ton of watercolor in the gesso to change it. I use fluid acrylics,
Okay.
because just a tiny dab will do you.
Oh, okay.
I did a little demo for them today of a little abstract. We started this out, Frank, I don't know if you remember. We were
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Going in and cutting.
Right.
Uh-huh. Okay, this is gesso with some fluid liquid acrylics in it.
Nice.
This is the, where is it now? There's some black gesso, this is black gesso with like some of that iridescent purpley color. So, and these are not water resoluble. They will not lift. This is a lift. This is a washout where I took masking tape, put it around, and then with a sponge lifted it out. That's watercolor, you can do washouts. Okay? All right. So there's the combination.
Is that poured?
No, honey, this is a little different situation. I
It
covered
looks,
the whole
the
thing.
purplish color looks a little poured.
Which one, honey? This one?
Fingered down.
Right here?
Yeah, that looks a
Okay,
little
what
poured.
happened there was I had covered the whole thing with washout tape, which is like a sticky, transparent tape.
Okay.
And then I used a cutter, and I cut out shapes and painted them.
Oh.
That's a neat thing to do.
So it's the film frisket?
It's similar to that, but it comes in a roll like this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And you just lay it across your paper, and you have no design or anything in mind. You just go ahead and keep cutting it with like those Olfa cutters, those rotary cutters. And wherever that tape is, it retains its white. Another kind of a frisket.
Could you tell us again what tape that is? Oh.
They have it available in, I think, Art Supply Warehouse. Now, its original purpose was to stretch paper, but I love using it this way. This painting was done the same way. Kind of the bright flower here, isn't it? This is a bromeliad. And what I did here, I always like to try new things. I took my Sharpie pen and I drew the bromeliad. Then when I masked out my first lightest color, I didn't pay any attention to the pen line. I went outside the line. And then I poured, and then I added more mask again outside the lines, poured again. So that's a great kick to do. Yeah, and then I went in later, took all the mask off. This was masked off at the beginning, all the background. And I didn't like it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go black with it or dark with it. So I said, okay, I'm going to experiment with what happens if I put a cool, warm color next to a warm color. I like experimenting with color. Color fascinates me. So that's the reason I did that way.